the Sci-Fi Society crew.
We are the Sci-Fi Society.
DJ Anubis. Here with the Meltdown Radio podcast with my special guest, Sci-Fi Century, our fearless leader and founder of the Sci-Fi Society.
That whole story, like, that's me for you guys. You don't get a lot of that stuff.
All right,
I think I might be hiding from myself. It's so good to be alone with someone. Desperate to be alone.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Meltdown Radio podcast with a co-collab with the Sci-Fi Century for Event Horizon.
What is up, everyone? How's it going, everyone? We are now live, and I would like to welcome everyone who's watching to the Sci-Fi Society podcast, volume 27. And as you can see, this is a co-production between me and the Metal Tavern Messiah, DJ Anubis. And welcome, everyone. And as always, gentlemen, we are the Sci-Fi Society.
Crew.
Okay, now I'm gonna pass it over to DJ Anubis. Take it away, brother.
So yes, we have a nice full panel today. Obviously, Sci-Fi is here with me, but we also have Gorgiro851. Sir, thank you for being here.
Thank you. They were having me.
Down below, the Kevin Lambert from the Entertainment Headquarters, and the man in the middle, the man in the box, Jedi Grand Velle.
Sexual chocolate here. Ready to serve.
Anthony Jordan, movies and gaming, also here with us. And of course, my ghoul brother from the Ghouls of Midnight, Mr. Tony of the Fucking Dead. Thank you, John, for being here. Before we dive in, let's take a look at the chat. We have Face to Ace is in the house.
What's up?
Also got Jake Hall, good friend of the Sci-Fi Society and part of the crew.
Yo,
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What up, Jake?
Let's see what else we got going. We got our regular ourselves in here. So far, just kind of ourselves. But hey,
It was me. I was signed in under you.
and she's talking shit through my account. So there.
There you go.
Well, he is the Messiah, so I know.
But yeah, we are here to talk about 1997's Event Horizon, sci-fi horror film directed by Paul Anderson, written by Philip Eisner, and stars Laurence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Kathleen Quinlan, and Jolie Richardson, as well as Jason Isaacs. Uh-oh, somebody's got
Echo.
echo there.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, as we always do, let's go through first to discover like who these guys when they first saw this film and what their first thoughts of it were. Let's start with Mr. Tony there at the bottom.
I probably saw it when it first came out. Rented it for sure. I don't think I saw this in the theater. I might have. Back then I saw so many things and rented so much I don't remember what was what. But I definitely remember renting this and just being like mind blown over. It was just like something so different for the 90s and like so like dark, and Sam Neill being like, everybody knows him in Jurassic Park, and then they see him in this, and it's just it was just a crazy time to watch it. I can remember the room I was watching in too was like on the old big box TV, VCR. The window was there. It was my old house, and I remember watching it. Like I just kept watching. I think I don't know if I rented. When did In the Mouth of Madness come out?
85. I mean 95. I'm about to say
95. I might actually do like a double feature. I think because I remember watching those two back like close to each other. So it was like a Sam Neill a-thon. So
Sam Neill.
yeah, but yeah, it was. I have good memories about first watching this back in the day, like 97. It's hard to believe that this is almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
All right. Anthony Jordan.
Well, I first heard of it. I seen I believe either it was on a VHS or a trailer on TV, but that's how I first heard of it. I seen it, I think, in 99 after getting cable, but it was always one of those films I would come in around halfway through. So I didn't see it the full way through for the first time till I think like 2005.
Okay. Jedi.
Yeah, I saw this. I heard about it through trailers and everything in 97. I didn't see it in the theater, but I did see it a year later on cable. And let me just say that I was thinking like, okay, this is just another kind of Alien ripoff to some degree, till you realize like, no, what Alien did was to give you the ground running with this one, saying that, no, this one will really put stand your hair up, and I can tell you right now that after I watched this film, I couldn't sleep that later that night. I could not sleep. This is how bad it scared me. Okay, that shows how horrified I was. I mean, because usually you wouldn't think, okay, I'm a 20-some-year-old man. It's like, this ain't gonna scare me that much. That scared the shit out of me. So I couldn't sleep that night.
Crazy.
Kevin.
So I had never heard of this film, and then in the 90s, 1997, my brother went out and he came home and he bought this on VHS. So I remember sneaking his VHS and watching it, and at first I didn't know how to take it, but then when obviously the more scary horror elements begin to happen, I just thought this was like something like Hellraiser in outer space. So literally I was like gripped to the screen. I was both mesmerized and horrified all at the same time. And it's such a unique movie. Like the style of it, the cinematography of it. I love how they use like miniatures, you know, and like they still were using like miniature props for the ships and things. Just the design of the ship alone, the Event Horizon, especially when you get to the engine, that just looks like it's something from hell. You know, just amazing. Just a really strong, great sci-fi horror film.
Yep.
Koji.
I saw this film on HBO over at a buddy's house one night. He's like, "Hey, let's watch this." I'm like, "Okay," and yeah, it felt like a Hellraiser film. Sam Neill is not unfamiliar to like satanic-esque, dark movies. Again, Mouth of Madness. And also, I think he was in The Omen 3. I think he was Damien.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. And so he's, a lot of people, they always say that he's just Dr. Alan Grant from the Jurassic Park films. Like, no, he's got range. Who's also in The Hunt for Red October as well. Tom Clancy, very famous Tom Clancy film. He's about to be in the upcoming new Godzilla X Kong film, which we don't really know a lot about that, but he's going to be in that as well. What he's going to be doing, don't know. But the man has a lot of range. But in this film, which we're about to discuss, he has a huge, acting range, from scientist to crazy guy, back to scientist, back to crazy guy, back to sympathetic. The man has a lot of range, and that he grips the most in this. Now, everybody carries their weight in this film, but it's also one of the most grotesque films I had seen at the time as well. The CGI was a bit off, as I watched it this morning before the stream, but as a young man, 1997, 1998, I was still in middle school when I watched this, so it really gripped me, and this is about the time when the 98 Godzilla film came out as well. So it's like, it was all very big and, interesting. Plus the practical sets they had. And like what Kevin was saying, the actual Event Horizon, the engine that they had, all the moving pieces as well. Just absolutely amazing looking. And so good stuff.
Yeah.
Century, do you remember when you first saw it?
Shit, I was in high school when this movie came out, and I fucking love this movie. I was gonna say that, but yeah, I saw it around 97 when it came out, but a little after it came out. And then I didn't see it in the theater though, but I think it had already came out. I think it was on HBO. It might have been 98. I might be wrong, but I just remember I was in high school, had girlfriends up the ass, always brought them to my house, and hey, let's watch a movie, whatever. So, but at first, I saw the trailer to this on HBO, and HBO does previews back then, and all I can remember now is when I heard it was when Laurence Fishburne, when Miller says, his character says, so what are you trying to tell me? Is the ship is alive? And then the lights just turn on and I remember the lights turning on in the preview, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this movie. So when I found out it was coming out, back then you had to look on you have to look on TV guides and stuff like that still, and they didn't have information on your box that good yet. So I just said, okay, it's gonna come out this time. So I watched it and I was blown away. And I believe I was a senior in high school, but yeah, I saw it. I mean, science fiction has always been my thing, obviously, of course, but yeah, Event Horizon, just like what Jira said, a lot of you pointed out, Hellraiser Space, great cast, Sam Neill and Laurence Fishburne, amazing, Jason Isaacs, it's all it's chef's kiss, just like Gojira likes to say it, man. I love this fucking movie. It's amazing, and yeah, man, it's just chef's kiss.
Yeah, I was one of the few that actually saw this in theaters. I mean, I was already a big Laurence Fishburne fan from his days with Death Wish 2 and King of New York, so I'd already kind of become a fan of his as an actor. So when I saw he was in this with Sam Neill, of course, as Goji pointed out, isn't a stranger to the horror films. I recently saw within the last couple of years, along with NECA, a movie called Possession, which is freaking amazing body horror, like mentally fucked over movie horror, but so crazy. But he's no stranger to it, and the cast is very strong. Like I said, there's just a lot of familiar faces that we see in there. But basically, Event Horizon is set in 2047, so soon we'll be dealing with this in real life. It follows a crew of astronauts sent on a rescue mission after a missing spaceship. The Event Horizon spontaneously appears in orbit around Neptune, only to discover that a sinister force has come back with it. So basically, as it states, this ship, the Event Horizon, gets sent out. I can't remember what its initial mission was, but basically disappears, and no one hears for it for years. And then all of a sudden it pops back out in a blip, starts sending out its call, and a ship is sent out to intervene with it. So let's just start with Mr. Goji here. Why don't you start explaining how this is laid out and what's happening for our crew?
So the Event Horizon is completed, and Sam Neill's character is the lead designer / scientist that designs it. He actually builds the warp engine thing, the heart inside of it as well. And it's sent out on its maiden voyage, and the crew and the captain are all selected, and they're all sent out. And essentially, it's explained that this engine actually warps and actually folds space and time, and actually does it by folding it into one spot. Instead of growing a straight line, it actually folds it into one spot and then goes into it and then returns space and time outward, and then it's already in its next spot pretty much. That's the best way I can explain it. I'm not a scientist. But
Anthony just showed us how it was done. So yes, you pretty much showed it exactly.
However, it didn't go exactly well, and 7 years had passed when this was there. But when it came back, its distress beacon was signaled. So the new ship that was sent out to go out, that was the Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark. With the captain of the ship is Laurence Fishburne and his crew were actually called off of shore leave with Sam Neill's character, and they're actually sent out to go and find it. They're out by Neptune, I believe it is. That's how far out the Event Horizon is.
Jupiter.
So Jupiter?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
sorry, Jupiter.
Oh, they said Neptune.
No, it was Neptune. It was Neptune.
That's right.
Shut up,
okay.
Anthony.
You don't know everything, man.
That's the first time he's been wrong, though. I will say that.
That's true.
Yeah.
He might be right. Maybe Wiki's wrong because anybody can throw shit in there.
That's true. They put all kinds of stuff in there. Yeah.
Okay, tomato, really far out in space. It's really far out in space. Okay, they're really out there, really out there. They're nowhere near Earth. There. We'll just split the pie and say they're really far away from Earth. Okay?
Neptune is pretty fucking far.
Yeah. So they're really far out there. Okay. So as they're going out there, everybody starts to experience hallucinations. They all start to see things from their past that isn't really supposed to really be there. And it's a drudging of memories. Where Samuel, forgive me, I'm blanking on names right now. It's blanking on. Okay, it's blanking.
Dr. Weir.
Thank you. So Dr. Wheeler, he has a tragic loss in his family. Well, his immediate family, and he loses his wife, and he's constantly haunted in his dreams. However, it starts to manifest more outward. Where Laurence Fishburne's character, he has a tragic loss in his past where he wants to, never have that again, but he never speaks of it. And it starts to manifest itself in the outwards as well. Other members of his crew also see it as well. As they go to the Event Horizon, the closer, the deeper they get inside of it. And then as they're exploring the Event Horizon, it's still turned off. That's when the heart of the Event Horizon actually wakes up. And Baby Bear, well, the youngest member of the Lewis and Clark, actually gets close to it and actually gets sucked into it. And it's kind of like this almost like the black goo for Prometheus, almost like. Except it's a lot more interesting, except for black goo of blah, 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 blah. So he's sucked into it. He eventually comes out, but he's in like a comatose state. And they start, work on him, everything, and he's out of it for the rest of the while. And they're trying to figure out a way how to, live on the event horizon now, because Lewis and Clark, during this entire situation of the event horizon waking up, actually damages the Lewis and Clark, and they all have to evacuate it to actually go live on the event horizon for now. But like in everything else in science fiction in space, something is damaged and there's a ticking clock. They have 17 hours now to figure out what the problem is and live their lives and get away from what's going on. So you guys want me to keep going or move it, turn it over?
We can pass it over to Mr. Lambert. Go ahead,
Okay.
sir.
So during the time after, the initial explosion, there's a lot of tension going on because, like you say, they were sent on this mission to the event horizon, but they didn't know what the mission was. It was all kept hush-hush. It was a secret till it was eventually revealed that they were going for this ship that had been missing for 7 years. And during the investigation after the initial explosion and the engine waking up, they start then going through footage and trying to put together the pieces of what's happened to the crew. And they actually do initially find one of the crew members just floating in space, who's all cut up. He's had all his eyes gored out, and they initially think, there's some sort of animal or alien creature on the ship because of how disfigured the body was. And then they find a recording, and when they find the recording, they play it, and it's somebody speaking in Latin. And then originally they think that what's being said via Latin is save me. And they're like, oh, well, this doesn't sound good. And this is where Sam Neill's character then reveals more about the engine and how it folds into space, and it's meant to be like a wormhole type situation where it folds the space and then they can go through, and the base, instead of crossing space which would take thousands of years or hundreds of millions of years, they can basically cross within seconds. But for whatever reason, the event horizon disappeared. And this is where tension rises, and Laurence Fishburne's character, he basically says, right, we found the ship, but we don't technically know what's going on with the crew. I just want to fix the Lewis and Clark, and we need to get off. We need to get away. And Sam Neill's character is so hesitant because he's proud of the design of his engine, and he actually now knows it works. But of course, at the meantime, as there's this tension between Sam Neill and Laurence Fishburne's character, there's a few incidents that happen throughout the course of this. So Little Bear, like you say, got sucked in and he starts having these fits. One of the crew members starts seeing, even though our son's back home with her father because she's got custody with the father, the son, she starts seeing images of him running around the ship. Laurence Fishburne then starts getting visions of a member of a previous mission who he ended up having to sacrifice to save the betterment of the rest of the crew on his last mission, who was burned to death during an explosion. And then, of course, Sam Neill's starting to see visions of his wife, who clearly must have committed suicide while he was away, and she was, must have had depression, must have had mental health issues, and he's full of extreme guilt of that. And he starts seeing her, and it's like the ship and the engine, since it's woke up, it's playing mind games with the crew.
Yeah.
It's like the ship is deliberately trying to sucker them in and trying to mentally torture them. It's like a game to whatever's now living within the state of the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kevin, can I just add to that, Kevin? It's like the ship, wherever it was, it's going off of all their despair, their fears, their regrets, their even what can happen to them in the future. It's like they're having like delusions of just like horrific stuff they would never imagine. They don't have one for everyone, and not everyone has like a real deep fear, a lot of regret, but they mostly just like, it's like the ship is doing it on purpose to like Kevin said, to play mind games, because it's the ship's core. It's the core of the Event Horizon where Little Bear was sucked into, and wherever this place was, it goes off of your worst regrets, fears, emotional distress, just what Dr. Weir went through with if his wife committed suicide, and and everything, man. It's such a good like way to start it off, as far as talking about Before and Weir.
Because it is feeding off their anxieties and fear and doubts and nightmares in many ways. It's actually because there's already this built-up tension between the crew and Dr. Weir, who Sam Neill plays. It's actually feeding on it.
Yeah,
and it's actually making their situation worse. And there's times where Laurence Fishburne's kind of like, we just need to get the Lois and Clark fixed. The pilot, for example, attacks Weir out of frustration and anger because Little Bear does eventually die during one of the worst scenes in the film, where he basically gets sucked out into space. His eyeballs pop and they're bleeding, and Laurence Fishburne's trying to save him to no avail. And it's just that really was the sign of how terrible the situation and the dilemma they were in.
He didn't die though.
Yeah, he didn't die.
Yeah,
he didn't die, but he was near death because he was sucked out into space. Basically, they had to put him in stasis to save his life.
As far as the film was concerned, he was dead pretty much.
Yeah, might as well be. I'd rather.
He got replaced with a puppet pretty much the rest of the movie, like a stand-in pretty much. Yeah. So as far as the movie's concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Jedi.
Well, we know about how he, like I say, a baby bear, he's disfigured now. And, we can see that things are just escalating tremendously now, and it's going to get worse. But just to add on something here, this film kind of reminds me of another film that's kind of old, but it kind of fits in this narrative, Galaxy of Terror, which does the same narrative where something creates or manifests something into a tangible state of what your greatest fears are. And, this ship is doing that because, as, Miller asked, it's like he asked Stark, like, what are you saying? This ship is alive? And it's like, because when she gets a bio reading, she can't get no real people at that point. But when you see that it's literally the whole ship is giving off some kind of feels or anything, like, it's like, how can something inanimate be alive? But where
the other thing is, one thing I noticed, and I'll let you go back, Jedi, and is like, it's a great point about Galaxy of Terror. It has the same theme that's going on with that. But I also noticed, like, with the machine itself, like how the other side is like the darkest plane or existence that's out there. If you ever saw Prince of Darkness and how the mirror worked, like bringing one, like the evil from the other side, it just totally reminds me of that so much. But yeah, it's a great point about Galaxy of Terror. I just wanted to point that out. Just go ahead.
No, that's a good. You know what? I hadn't even thought about that because Prince of Darkness, that's another film that really put a chill in my bones, because it's really showing the escalade of, horror, but we're with the crew, like I say, baby bear, he's in status, he's pretty much scarred and everything, all that stuff. And people are saying, we're starting to get unsettled here. Well, this is a moment where Miller confesses something about having to sacrifice somebody, and he's telling this to DJ, and DJ's asking us, like, I've known you for so long, I never knew this. He's like, no, I've never told anyone this. It's like this.
That's the thing. I'm sorry. He's like that. He said that's exactly the thing. Like, none of you know none of you known about that, and this ship did. Sorry, I just had to get
No,
it.
no,
Sorry.
that's exactly no, exactly, because it's like he's told nobody. He's kept this to himself and never mentioned this. Because there's a one point where he, saying, he puts his head against the ship and he sees some visions of, whatever this was, and he's like, "What is going on?" So he, he's just wondering what's going on here. So this is when he confesses this to DJ about how he had to sacrifice somebody. But this is the moment where DJ confesses something to him, where they listen to this recording about, save me, in Latin. But this is the moment where this really put I'm talking about, made my blood just like freeze when I hear this. He says he mistranslated what the person was saying. He said, I thought it was said save me, but then he says no, it says save yourself. And then when he says this gets worse, I'm like, how can this get worse? Then he says what is it? Actually, how you say it in Latin? He says
It's Walter. I'll take that. It's liberate me was what he thought was the translation, which means save me, but it says it was actually liberate tuteme, which means save yourself from hell.
And let me just say, when he says this, I'm just like, okay, we're going in a place where I didn't think we was going. I think it's like, it's just something like Alien or whatever, kind of situation. But this is far, far worse than what you're thinking. Go ahead, Goji.
The most chilling part of that is when they're watching the security footage, and it shows the debauchery that they were doing and all like the the gory shit that was going on, and then it shows the captain of the Event Horizon, during all of this, and he says that, but it shows all of like the demon shit that's going on, and then he says that. It's like that just shows how like twisted what happened in the Event Horizon. So where did it actually go? So I just wanted to sprinkle that in there.
But you notice, but you bring up a good point. You notice when he says that, he has like, I don't know if that's his eyes. I'm assuming that's his eyes in his hands saying this.
Yeah.
It's like,
he's smiling too. It's
like my brothers. I'll say this. He says, "Liberate tuteme ex iferis," means save yourself from hell.
So at this point, Miller, he's just like, I don't know what to fucking believe right now, because I'm just like, what the hell is going on? So DJ pretty much said, wherever this ship has been, it's gone beyond whatever we as a human person or any human being has thought. And wherever it's gone to, it's beyond our deepest, darkest imagination. So, but with that being said, we go on to something that's a little bit more in sense of, hope, where what's that other black dude's name? The Miracle Maker. I forget.
No, it wasn't Miller. It was I think it was
that's what was his name? God dog, I can't
no
remember.
Stark. No, it was Miller, Stark, Baby Bear. Man, why is it that my mind goes blank? Yeah, Cooper.
I should know the black dude's
Cooper.
name.
There you go.
I'm yelling a name. I'm like, am I muted? Damn it, I am.
Cooper.
Cooper. Yeah, you are the light
Cooper.
spirit. He tells him that he's finally got the ship fixed up and ready to get the hell out of here. So at least we know that, okay, we're about to get the hell out of here. But we got one little thing before we go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wait, hold on, this because I'm getting excited. Hold on. I was gonna say, we can't forget when they're on the main deck of the ship, the captain's quarters. Remember those 3 type of windows? I think they're like power cells to the ship. And remember, they have remains. They have human remains splattered all over them.
Yeah.
Like they have that. I forgot to mention that. Like they have all of that, and then they saw that, and then every time they light something up, though, you can see that. And then, like Gojira was saying that when they had that extra footage, the footage came out of the demons actually killing and the crew members actually being turned into demons, and they were like, like one, I think I saw one guy was, fisting another freaking a girl or something, and there it's twisted. It's like a very twisted scene, but yeah, like I just wanted to throw that because I didn't want someone to forget, because I thought someone would bring that up, but I just wanted to bring up the cells by the ship in the captain's quarters, or could it be the captain's quarters or the med? I don't know, but it was all splattered all over.
I think it was the med bay that they were talking in.
Yeah, I know, but like there was I think it was a captain's quarters where there was those three cells that look like inner cells, and they but not cells as in captives. I'm talking like power cells, and there's splattered human remains. I think Anubis and some people know what I'm talking about.
No, we know.
It's like it's like splattered remains, but I just wanted to add that. Go ahead, Walter. Sorry to interrupt you again, man. Sorry.
No. But like I say, we're at this point where we're about to get off the ship, but this is where, the message they saw earlier, it was showing them when they were about to engage the core, and then it goes into this like whatever the disruption and everything. They put it through a lot of filters. Then they reveal what you was talking about, showing what the hell's going on. It's like, what in the what's going on here? And Miller says like, we're out of here. We're gone. Like I say, we're like Elvis. We're leaving the building. We're like right now, So, but you want to pass it to someone else now?
And well, this is my favorite part. So, of course, we are at the time when all they are, trying to discover getting off this fucking horrendous, basically hell in space, which is what the event horizons become. It's we are does then explain that that the events horizon, like he's having hallucinations and he sees his wife and he does the most grotesque thing ever. He sees Miller, and Miller's like, we've got to get off the event horizon. I'm going to blow it up. We're going to use the front. We're going to get out of here. And he's like, no, we're not. We're staying here. And he kind of disappears. And this is basically where he has like the hallucination with his wife. And it gets to the point where he basically snaps and he basically gets suckered in by the hallucination and the sentient voice from the ship, and he basically gorges his own eyes out.
Yeah. And this
is where he goes rogue. So he basically goes rogue and he basically turned the whole ship into hell. He takes an explosive device and he takes it over to the Lewis and Clark. But at the same time as that's happening, because there's different events happening at the same time, you've got the two members of the crew who are getting them long tubes with, I guess, oxygen supplies.
Rubbers,
yeah, and taking them. Suddenly she stops and she sees like an image of her son.
Mhm.
And she ends up falling for the hallucination and she follows it. There's even for that split second as she's climbing the she sees her own death.
Mm-hmm.
Like for a split second you see her fall and then it jumps back. And you're like, well, if she can see that, surely that didn't like put in her mind, oh, this is horrendous.
Yes.
And then she walks, but then as she walks towards her son, she literally loses her balance because it's all darkness and she can't see the gap and the big opening, and she literally plummets basically to the foot of where the engine in and just splatters on the ground.
Horrendous.
So,
and that's when Weir sees her before he finally falls for the hallucination of the ship from his wife. And then what I was gonna say, what he said when Weir said that, hey, you know what, you can get on the Lois and Clark or you can walk home, and he says, she says, she says you can't go anywhere, because she won't let you. She actually refers to the ship as a she.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's when I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like I didn't want to interrupt Kevin, but I said, yeah, that was the part where she says that she won't let you. She's like, you can't leave because she won't let you. And then he's like, that's when Miller says, well, you can go if you don't get on the ship, you're going to be walking home. And that's where I forgot Mama Bear. I forgot her name too. Mama Bear is the one that Kevin was saying. She's the one that saw her own death, and then she still went to follow her son. And then her son's at the edge of one of the corridor or inside of the core, and she falls. Her son's there at the edge, and she just tries to go and hugs him, and that's where she falls.
Peters.
And like,
is that Peters?
Yep. Peters.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're good.
My mind blanking out when I watched this and did all the research, and yeah.
No, I got the cast right here. That's the only reason why I know. No, you're good. You're good, brother.
And that's where he goes rogue. Goes rogue after this and plants an explosive onto the Lois and Clark. And that's where things get even dire for the ones who are surviving.
Right.
Yep. Exactly. Who's next? Anthony?
Let's go. Anthony, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had the explosion go on. We've had Weir get corrupted. Now, before I go on, I want to go on an interesting tangent. I'm not going to go into all the details, but there's a fan theory that this movie is an unofficial Warhammer 40K prequel, and one of the bits of evidence, does that look familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a bit chaotic.
Room in the ship, and space travel in that universe faster than light works the same way. The ships pass through the warp or chaos, which Dr. Weir described it as a dimension of pure chaos. They pass through that to get through one point of space to another, but we have this go down, and Laurence Fishburne is just in survival mode now. In like the next plan, we blow the ship. We separate the engine room from the bridge, and we make that the lifeboat like it was intended. He grabs this literal bolt gun, which could be another 40K nod in itself, as a means of self-defense. And he encounters Weir on the bridge, who now has the gun, and he's essentially become a demon host. And at this point, Cooper finally shows up, because when the Clark blew, he did this trick where he used the air in his suit to propel his way to the event horizon, which I liked. I thought it was very clever. And Weir shoots the bolt gun, almost killing him, but it gets Weir sucked out into space. Cooper and the other two regroup, and Laurence Fishburne decides, I'm going to be the one to go in, and he goes in to go into the engine room to blow it, and he has the last encounter with Weir, who is just completely, he's got runes carved into his flesh.
Yeah.
His eyes are missing there, the literal bolt gun. And he's just got all these powers, which again, very similar to a demon host in 40K, that he has no chance of just defeating, and he ultimately has to just outsmart it. He grabs the detonator and sets it off, sacrificing himself, but we still see the mind games, like Weir even took the form of the crew member he had to leave behind to save the ship in the past, and it's just a
and don't forget, there's that moment before that happened, before he gets injected out of space, where he sits there, because obviously they know the idea of how the engine works, that it folds space, basically either creates like a wormhole and suck us in and fold space at the same time, so you come out on the other end. But when he's explaining, Weir finally reveals basically what happened to the crew. And basically what he says is that when it folded the engine, it went into it didn't go across space to another part of the galaxy. It actually folded in and went to a different dimension.
Yeah.
And when it went to the different dimension, it's not said out loud, but it's very much implied. It didn't just go to another dimension, it was sucked into hell. And
Yep.
when it came
Yes,
back out
yes.
7 years later, this sentient being, or this, like you see, potential demon, was in the core of the engine, and it's now made the ship sentient. And anyone that boards the Event Horizon, it's going to work on them by playing on their anxieties, playing on anything that it's got, anyone who's got regret or anyone's dark emotions, and it's going to use them to its advantage. And basically, that's what's happened to everybody on the crew. This thing that inhabited the engine from this other dimension is basically played on all of the crew's dark emotions, regrets, and anything that, you know, could be dangerous and harmful to them, and it's used it to its advantage.
Here's
know what?
another interesting thing. Like, it's been 7 years, but if there was a survivor on that ship, from that survivor's perspective, it could have literally just been a matter of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing is, and you have a point there, Anthony. The thing is, because what Stark had, because Stark was like the brain. She's like the brainiac of the crew, and she finds out because Weir tells her, like, look, the reason why you're able to go from one point A to point B so fast is because the ship's core is actually made out of an artificial black hole. And what is a black hole in space? It's the most destructive thing in the universe. So imagine what a black hole would if they create one, like he created one. Like, what makes you think it's not going to send you just send you to one point of space to another, when, just like Kevin said, it literally went to another dimension. But I'm glad when he said another dimension, he said they're referencing hell, but I just like how they kept it as a dimension and didn't just say like it's just hell straight out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you got to remember too, the thing about it, when Miller confronts Weir one more time, he says, "You know where we're going?" He's like, "Yeah, to hell." But he says this. It's like, no, hell is just a word. The thought of what we're going to is far more terrifying. That means it's like,
he says, to hell is like you. He said, you know nothing. Hell is only a word. The reality is much, much worse.
Mm-hmm.
On some
And like
pinhead energy right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In the ending of the movie was quite. The only thing I think about it, the ending happened so fast. So obviously Weir and Miller are killed with the final explosion of the Event Horizon, and the end's blown out. And then it ends where they get rescued, and then there's that shocking moment where the guy who lifts his helmet up after they come out the station, and it's Weir again, and they're like, oh shit. And then she starts panicking and having they want to sedate her, and they're like, we need to sedate her. She's having, she's going out of control. Then it just goes to credits.
Yes.
The end.
Yep.
I just found that.
There's still lingering corruption on the ship.
Yeah,
Right.
I just found that it was like such. It just felt like it ended in the wrong time. Like, I just think there should have been maybe something else.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's true.
They might have been planning for a sequel at some point, maybe.
But there's also the point where, like, the two ends of the ship were destroyed, but the actual Event Horizon went back to the end of the Event Horizon where the core is, that went back to hell. So Miller and Weir actually went back to hell, but he did it to save Cooper and Stark, because they were the only survivors that were left. So the two ends of the corridor, that the ship on that, see that what I liked about the ship, now that we talked about the end, shit, dude, Anubis, give us your take, bro.
I did find this interesting because Goji sent me some pictures, and I think, if I'm looking at this correct, this is like kind of like a miniature set that they were using there.
Yes,
so that is incredible. I love that attention to detail.
That's the kind of filmmaking that I miss.
But the
green screen with miniatures, and it just feels more organic and real and authentic.
Yeah.
And the thing about that miniature of the Event Horizon was like 27 feet long when they
Yeah.
that thing. It's like I love that.
Yeah,
I love the tangibility of this movie. But, you know, it's still at a time when miniatures and miniature photography was still a thing. Unfortunately, you know, we're more CGI nowadays. So you're like,
why I missed the 90s. Why I missed the 90s.
Fashionably late.
Yes, my apologies. Sorry about that.
Oh no!
All right, we're finished. You can go now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we gotta go another hour.
All right.
Well, the thing is, now you got the professor here, so he's the master class on this movie. So yeah, he's going to give his hour-long breakdown and speech about this film.
His dissertation.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Miller, tell us.
Oh, but
what
wait.
your-
We have to clear one thing up, Mr. Miller. Okay. Was the Event Horizon by Jupiter or Neptune?
Trick question. That was by Nick. That was Neptune.
Okay. Yep, we're right.
Yep.
Anthony was wrong for once.
I haven't been swapped by anyone. I'm fine. I am the actual professor.
Okay.
I win.
Okay.
I
So
win.
give me your overall take on Event Horizon, because we've all kind of been given our thoughts on it.
Yeah. Event Horizon, I like to say it's a gem of a movie in the sense that it combines elements of science fiction, traditional haunted house, and straight up body horror and gore. And it does so in a very interesting way. Originally, the script was meant to involve aliens from a dimension literally known as hell, but later on in production, it was decided get rid of the aliens and just have this as so like the mind playing tricks. Think of it as Shirley Jackson's The Haunting, but set in outer space with a design choice that feels like a mixture of the Nostromo from Alien while also incorporating elements of Hellraiser, because the gravity drive does look very much inspired by the Lament configuration.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
That's
think
what
about
I
it,
said,
too,
I said it was like Hellraiser in space.
yeah. And when you think about it, because there is a line of dialogue from Weir's dead wife in the film, when, of course, after Weir is basically lost his mind, she says, "I have such wonderful, wonderful things to show you." Now, if that sounds similar, it should. That was a quote from
Hellraiser.
from Pinhead from one of the first Hellraiser movies. We have such sights to show you.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh man.
The box.
The
You
box.
opened it. We came.
Yeah.
It's not hands that calls us. It is desire.
Yes.
The sweet taste of sorrow.
I feed on your despair.
Please, your tears, don't waste
No
them.
tears now.
You guys are doing this way too well, saying those lines. I tell you.
Hey, he's iconic. Seriously,
Well, that's true.
he's so good. He's so good.
Yep.
I
Tony,
just
I know
had-
you didn't talk much, Tony. How's
Yeah,
your
go ahead,
feeling?
Tony.
Yeah, Tony, please. What's up, dude?
I haven't been talking much because of my throat, but
Oh, well,
I
I feel
told
better
you
now.
your kid was going to get you sick. I told you this.
I know I can't get it out. It's what do you want? My overall thought?
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah, just give me your thought.
Well, this is the first time in a while I've watched it, so I know like they were really trying to probably push the 3D element in this movie, which it doesn't bother me because they didn't like force it too much just in the beginning with that black goop running around stuff. But like I for some reason I remember this being way more chaotic back in the day, and not that it's not, but I just remember it being more. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I like the
I
crew.
know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I like the crew. I forgot about the crew, and they're all pretty likable.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see. I don't want to say his name wrong. Smith in this, and years later he was, Alfred on Gotham, and he played such a good character on there too. Like that's all I know him from. I don't know anything else.
He's also the son of the guy who was Doctor Who in the UK.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was John Pertwee. He was the third Doctor.
Dude, he's in one of the best fucking movies ever, Dog Soldiers. I mean, enough said.
Oh yeah, Dog Soldiers. That's right. I remember that. Yeah, but it's just like the cast, is great. I don't know. I can't really say anything bad about it. It's kind of like the ship is more. It's like when it plays with them. It's like Pennywise does it too with the fear and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting, but I don't know why they always make ships in these movies so scary. And it works with this because the ship's alive, and if you see that ship, it's pretty scary looking.
Yeah,
I think it kind of all dates back to Alien. The
tagline
was, no one can hear you scream in space. Like it's one of those things. Like you're already out in an unfamiliar territory where you don't have control in space. You're only as in control as you are with your ship. So it's like now you got a ship that has a mind of its own. So now you're in control of nothing. You can't go anywhere. You can't be like Star Trek and just transport out of there. You got to stick with it and try to make it through this nightmare. And it's like, damn, dude, this sucks.
The ship's actual design on like it's kind of like unsettling.
Yeah.
Like the type, like it looks like a kind of like a church cathedral, but with a dark tone, like a medieval type of aesthetic in there. Like like it has its like, of course, sci-fi elements, but it also has that, like, especially the med room. The med room looks like it's a fucking morgue. It looks more like a morgue than a med room.
Chamber. So I wanted to bring up.
I've been in the morgue, so I know exactly what a morgue looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
I've done a lot of things in the morgue.
Well, there's nothing more creepy than one at the beginning when the horizon comes back into the view. It comes kind of like out of those clouds a little bit, and then you just see like the lights flickering inside, and like it's alive, but it's like it's so creepy looking on how it's just kind of like sitting there.
And Anubis, I'm gonna add to this. If you guys know the front hard window of the event horizon, it's like if you would have straightened it out, like if you straighten it out, it kind of look like a cross.
I was gonna
it would look like a crucifix,
Well, not only that, but if you straighten the ship itself and stand it upright, it's also a crucifix as well.
Yeah.
Also in the med bay, if you pay attention to the glass in the background in one shot, it actually looks like stained glass windows, like in a cathedral as well. So the ship is actually supposed to kind of resemble a church and has a lot of religious looks, both evil and good, in this film as well. So it does have a lot of religious ideas in it, but they kind of tiptoe around it to not really just spell it out. So like they just want to imply things to it. So
because that was all intentional, because I read that because when I watched this for the first time, I was kind of like, that's kind of odd to have these different stagger lights, especially in the core room and everything. All that was intentional to give that feel of like uneasiness. And as Gojira was saying, it's supposed to be like a church, but more unsettling in that way.
I mean, this is why I love doing these live streams with you guys, man, because all you guys kind of like speak what I'm speaking. Like all of you guys like have the same ideas, and it's just like it's I just love how we all have the same ideas, but they come out in our own little style. That's why it's like
we're in your head, brother. That's part of what it is.
Yeah. It's like
I have to ask Jedi this real quick, because I know he appreciates this movie as much as I do.
There you go.
took an image of the Event Horizon ship and then I've turned it on its side, and it does look like a crucifix.
Oh no, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a.
But does it kind of remind you, Jedi, of this from Life Force?
Yes, dude. Yes, dude. See, if you when we get to this, we got to discuss that because that's kind of funny. You bring that up. The Life Force ship kind of resembles that a little bit, especially when that part opens up. But I mean,
Yeah.
not to that, but it's a good point you bring that out. But when we discuss it later on, it's we have to bring that up though.
That ship looked like a fucking like medieval mace.
Yeah,
It's creepy shit.
The thing is like a million years old, but like I say, it's very creepy.
Also, one other thing, guys noticed that Smith and TJ, they didn't have any hallucinations on this ship either.
No,
Neither did Cooper.
Neither did Stark. Yeah, you said Stark though, but yeah, no, they
didn't. Yeah, I mean the medic, he actually was meant to have a flashback on the ship, which explains the scar on his chest before Weir kills him. That was a backstory to that, is that he was in active duty. Effectively, he was a war zone and he was being operated on whilst literally in a firefight. So that, of course, the ship picked up on that and was actually playing with being alive while he's bleeding out and his guts are all over the place and he's afraid of dying. Now, the original cut was meant to show that, but because of pacing issues and to some extent the gore, those scenes were removed and sadly suffered the same fate as all of the gory special effects that are no longer existent.
The radiation mine, huh?
So what ended up happening is after the film was released on physical media, the physical media sales did really, really well. So the studio asked Anderson, the director, if he would, the scenes that he cut out, they wanted them to put the scenes back into the movie and to do like a director's cut, but the footage is lost. It's either been destroyed or lost. So
that was
them scenes that Daniels mentioned might have very well made it into the director's cut if they were still available.
What's interesting about that, I've read an interview with him where he was talking about it, and he said, looking back on it now, if that footage came back and he was able to do a director's cut, he said he would do something in between the theatrical cut and that original cut of the film, because he's like, looking back after decades of hindsight, he's like, yeah, maybe I did push things just a little too far in places.
Well, see, I remember when I saw, because I actually saw like trumped up versions of these lost scenes, and some of them were kind of very horrific, and the original cut of this film was supposed to be like 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that, but they had to cut it out for all the gore and everything. But here's a side note about this, and Professor knows this. It's crazy how studio heads think these things. Somebody said, hey, is it possible, Anderson, that you can make this picture? I know you're going for R, but can you make this a PG-13 film? Who is thinking this is going to be PG-13? I mean, like a shot like that is going to
come on.
Get the fuck out of here with that, man.
Yeah, right.
Listen, they actually wanted a PG-13 cut and they succeeded, and that is what happened to the first AVP film. Yes. And the reason why I bring this up is because a set from Event Horizon was actually reused for the Predator ship in the first AVP movie. It's a scene where the characters are introduced on the icebreaker. The camera cuts to the moon in space. We then see the Earth. The camera pulls back, and then you see the interior of the Predator ship. It's the same corridor set from the Event Horizon, just given a complete shade of gray paint. And all of the green funky lights. Yeah. If you go back and compare the opening scene of Event Horizon and the Predator ship scene, if you watch them side by side, they are the exact same set.
And talking the ship, here's another. The Event Horizon looks like it could be a distant ancestor of this ship.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see that. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta like. There's also parts of like the movie that that it was heartbreaking to when I did the research too. That it was there was more footage and it was destroyed. I was like, it's like that. I'm pretty sure that happens very often. But just imagine if that was released, they would have kept it and they made a director's cut or an uncut version.
When Shout Factory got the rights to do the Blu-ray, they made a legitimate effort to see if they can find any lost footage to the point where they delayed the release and nothing happened.
That's right.
Here's my thing. Okay, I understand that, yeah, you need to cut stuff out of a movie and not everything would work for a theatrical release, but what idiot decided to store the footage in a salt mine?
Ask the studio executives. Because that's actually not an uncommon thing, because that has happened before with silent movies like Nosferatu and Dogs in the Cabinet.
Do you think that happens now though? Like if I'm a studio, right, and I've seen the past and how this shit happens where
in
the case of a film like this, they had a chance to capitalize on the popularity of something that happened after the fact. Because we hear about it all the time with these older films. I'm wondering if studios now say to themselves, okay, we released this way. Didn't do well in the theaters, but somehow it's become a cult hit and we're going to re-release it. So just hold on to this shit so that if we re-release it, we can throw this shit in like a director's cut or whatever. I wonder if they've changed their mindset about how they deal with this stuff now.
Now, not only do they store the original negatives and whatnot, but now they keep everything. I believe they even keep everything on like digital backups.
That's good.
Don't forget, Blade Runner's been re-released multiple times. The movie Brazil has been re-released multiple times. The Godfather's been re-released multiple times.
Apocalypse
so
Now
there's a precedent. What's up?
Apocalypse Now had 3 releases: the original Apocalypse Now Redux, and then just before the pandemic, Apocalypse Now Final Cut.
So there's a precedent. Also, Shout Factory re-released Dino De Laurentiis' King Kong as well, not too long ago as well.
Yes.
So there is a precedent for preserving classic films. So the concept of taking footage for these films and placing them in a salt mine, or I heard it was a radiation mine, which either or sounds stupid. I don't understand. You put it where you normally put a film reel. You stick it in a warehouse, okay, away from stuff that will destroy it. There's a precedent. And then like after a few years, when no one's going to touch it, fine. Or you give it to the director, let him stick it in his own warehouse, let him worry about it. It just, there's a precedent for preserving these films. There's got to be an archive somewhere. Yes, everything's digital nowadays, so it's a lot more convenient to preserve these things. But back then, there was already precedent for preserving these things. So, it makes no sense why they would do this with that. It just screams they had no confidence, and then they just screwed up afterwards when they saw the hit they had on their hands. So, shame on them.
Yeah,
so,
and keep in mind, with 35mm film, the chemicals, like the celluloid gel on the film before and after the footage has been shot, if it's not handled properly or stored properly, if it's not spoiled, it can corrode or spontaneously combust, because the process of the actual film, when it's taken out of the camera and run onto the editing process, it can be very volatile and also very dangerous. And if it's not stored properly, it could spoil and even corrode. I mean, there are instances of the TV show Thunderbirds. They've recently found alternate cuts of some episodes. Some were in good quality, others were not, because of the acid in the celluloid had actually worn through a couple of frames and even worn through the film cans themselves. If this is what happened to the Event Horizon cutoffs, but whether it be in a salt mine or in a radiation mine, even, it would be much more worse. The state of the footage,
Yeah.
10 times worse.
That just goes to show you right there. It's like, see, preservation is the key thing when it comes to making films. I'm just wondering who was asleep at the wheel when it came to doing this. You know what I mean? It's like, I get your mindset about the gore set. You know what I mean? But years later down the line, you can make a director's cut and show what you was actually, because if you look at the particular scene where Weir shows Miller the hell state that they was going to, that shit was actually supposed to be a lot longer,
yes,
more gratuitous than what we saw there. Just those little spikes of scenes was a whole lot different than what the cuts they were going to show. But it just seems to me like, if you're going to do a job, do the job well, where you're not going to fuck up somebody else's, dream, or put it like this, mess up a person's artistry and make it seem like, well, I don't think we really need this. If you had said that about movies like Star Wars or, the 10 Commandments or even the original Gojira, I'm like, y'all really don't really know how effective these films are going to be in future tense. And this is why you got to be careful in letting whoever put this stuff or handle it for future dates, because you never know. Because when I saw different cuts of, like what the first was saying of Apocalypse Now, I was like, when I saw the longer version of this, I was like, whoa, it fits the narrative well, but I'm like, why are y'all not taking the time to preserve this stuff the correct way? Even then, and hopefully I know they're doing it now, but why did he do it then? It just blows my mind how.
Well, you got to keep up. Back then, there was no home video. They figured the most that would ever happen is maybe 10 years from now, it'll get a theatrical re-release. They weren't even thinking ahead of network TV staples at the time.
Or the advent of DVD, for that matter. Because when DVDs first came out, they were packed full of features, from deleted scenes, the making ofs, and all sorts of stuff. And to add on to what Walter was saying about the scenes that were meant to be longer, the same thing actually goes for the demise of the Event Horizon's previous crew when they're scrubbing through the footage and they're actually seeing the carnage that unfolded. It was meant to be much longer and a lot more graphic. The captain who was holding out his eyes, there was a shot where you actually see him gouging out his eyes, like literally digging into his own face and then pulling out his eyes. There's also another, which, now this might sound really graphic because this was actually confirmed on both the audio commentary and in the making of featurette of Event Horizon. There was a scene where one of the possessed crew members is sodomizing another crew member with a piece of steel that they've ripped out of the walls from the corridor, and also there's another scene where a character gets a bar through the back of his face, which was shown in the final cut, but it's a blink and you'll miss it thing. It was meant to be much longer. You actually see, and it's also shot from a different angle as well. You see the bar going into the back of his head, and then it cuts to an alternate shot of the bar going through
his mouth
his film and actually knocking out a tooth, which they did show the effect for that in the making of feature. They actually shown the prop of the false tooth that was meant to pop out when the rebar, because it's a fake bar, it actually collapsed in on itself to create the illusion it was going through flesh and bone.
Yeah, we can't forget the mini snippets of all of them being like in barbed wire, like hanging, having like a steel pole going through from the back of his head through the mouth, and even Baby Bear, spinning around screaming, and then Stark, with her with barbed wire going over her mouth and her head, and like the snippets, man, and then remember the back. You know what I really loved? I forgot to mention, man. when the core, the whole entire core was on fire. It was opening, it was on fire. Like it was everything was just on fire, man. Like literally hell is coming out of the core. Like that. I forgot to mention that just looks so badass. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was mostly CGI, but
No,
if they were
It was all real. Those things were real.
okay,
That's
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There
And
you
those
go.
maggots, they're actual fly maggots. Those are live maggots. But in the movie industry, they have the maggots sterilized because there are instances where they have the actors dead on the floor, but they have sterile maggots crawling around their the mouths, their eyes, and their
Right.
ears. And to prevent them from actually swallowing them, the actors have to chew them so they don't choke on them. Yes, that was also from the making of featurette of Event Horizon. They actually confirmed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So all that fire was real then. Then
No,
that's why.
That was all a practical. All that what you see on the set, that was all real. That's why I say I love when they do tangible stuff like that. All that was on fire. Yes, I mean you had the actors in a safe space, where they won't get caught up. But all that was on fire. That was real stuff there.
Yeah.
That looked great.
Yeah. And also another thing
It
that was
looks so
real
good.
was the scene of Cooper following the wire to get Baby Bear after he's been sucked into the core. That was actually he was actually upside down for that take. And of course there was a lot of disorientation, but it was even worse when you factor in those spinning effectively a meat grinder spinning around the walkway on that scene.
Yes.
Yeah, towards the entrance of the core. Yeah, it looks like a meat grinder, but it looks like a meat grinder, but I'm pretty sure it had a purpose. Like it was like
9 circles to hell. That was the purpose.
There you go. Okay, well there you go. But I'm saying a technical purpose, Professor.
Yeah.
I think they said it had something to do with the gravity field.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It had to. Yeah, it had to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
The EMF from a living person's body from interfering with the internal reactions of the gravity drive.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just wow. There you go. That's why I'm glad the professor jumped on when he did. There you go.
See?
So, what would you guys rate Event Horizon?
Jeez.
Where does Anubis or Sentry want to start?
Let's start with the professor. Last thoughts, and what would you rate it?
I'd give it a very high rating. I would give it a 10, but I would have to say, on the level of studio executives, they did this film dirty in the final cut. I have to say they took, although it would have been very disturbing and would have even have gotten an X rating, never mind an R rating, it was. Everyone wants to see what the original intent of Event Horizon was. And because of what we have, and also the information given to us by Paul Anderson and everyone else who worked on the movie in the bonus features, I give this film a very high rating. I'm going with a full 9 out of 10. It has a great story. It has a great approach with merging sci-fi, gothic haunted house, and psychological horror, and even religious horror, if you want to call it that. The actors were very well cast, especially Sam Neill and Laurence Fishburne. I really did like seeing Dr. Weir as we follow him as his character goes on this gradual decline into insanity from the moment we see him in the movie after the opening credits, right up until he hallucinates his wife one last time and just grips his eyes out of his face. I also did like the actor who played the Cooper. No, not Cooper. I don't remember his name, but he's the comic relief effectively. I actually liked that character a lot.
That's Cooper.
Yeah, that was Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper.
Yeah. The others, Kathleen Quinlan and Sean Pertwee, again, great performances all around. The set designs are just phenomenal in this movie. That includes the miniatures themselves. And this is why I always say miniatures and practical effects are better than CGI, because you can actually see it's a tangible object. It's not something created in a machine or from a three-dimensional model or anything like that. It's a genuine thing. It has a very unnerving atmosphere, a lot of great science elements behind it. And when it comes to the horror, it doesn't hold back. It goes balls to the wall with the body horror and the gore and even the hell stuff in the final act. So for me, 9 out of 10. I wish I could see these senior executives and saying, look at what the hell you've done. Why did you have to screw over a really such a very distinctive, iconic gem of late 90s horror? Come on, what the hell were you thinking? Were you a wimp? Are you a wimp, sir or madam? Are you thinking that being a PG-13 movie is going to give you sweet, disposable teenage income? No, it doesn't work that way. What the hell are you thinking? For God's sake, no!
I could just imagine you with like a newspaper in your hand and holding him by the shoulder with your other hand, just like popping him on the head while saying that.
No, but Professor is saying exactly what I. Yes, he said exactly. See, he's an old person and a young man. He's saying exactly what I feel.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is it's you know, he's not like Americans. We'd be like, get off my lawn, but he's like, get off my lawn, you bloody wanker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, one more thing before we move on. The movie soundtrack. Michael Kamen did an excellent job in that. And if you actually listen to the opening soundtrack after it perfectly emerges from the Paramount logo overture, you can actually hear vocals being spoken in the soundtrack. Those are actually the words "Liberate tutame ex inferis," but spoken in reverse and modulated pitch-wise and chopped around throughout the soundtrack. Michael Kamen was brilliant on that movie score.
And he's one of the reasons why he's one of my favorite composers. Unfortunately, he's a late composer, but yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Mr. Tony the Dead, final thoughts and your rating.
You mean continue my final thoughts?
Continue.
Like fucking half hour ago?
Okay, anyway.
Okay.
He left for good.
Damn, all right.
Guy.
Yep, he's gone.
There he is. Now he's back.
Only he's left no, there he's come back.
Wow.
Such small power. He uses it like that.
He went into the void. That's what happened.
Yeah.
He went where the
Event Horizon out there in the void.
But I chose to come back. Just remember that.
Okay.
How sweet of you.
Space
Very
and
sweet.
time, and has been to a place you can't even begin to imagine.
It was good. It was fun there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Were there such
They had
sights to be
cookies.
shown, Tony?
They had cookies.
All right,
No, I'm
Cookies, go
tempted.
ahead and give us your final thoughts again.
It's a good movie. I'm glad I got to rewatch it. Blah blah blah. Ditto what I said before. I would have to say it aged a little bit for me, but I still enjoy it. But probably 8 out of 10.
Okay,
Nice.
Mr. Jordan.
9.5 out of 10. It's a all-time classic. It gets better with age, but
Yes.
I can't give it a full 10 out of 10 because of how the studio execs mishandled the film. So, like, I kind of have to just as much as I hate to, I have to penalize it for their stupidity, but still all-time classic.
Jedi.
Yes, I'm going to have to say the same thing. I mean, the people whoever had, like I say, who was ever asleep handling this film, they pretty much made a clusterfuck of this film. And, you know, I wish it could have been the masterpiece that Paul Anderson wanted to have. But no, besides that, what we did get is very, very well done. And I have to give it a 9. definitely a 9.
Mr. Lambert.
Great practical effects. That's what I love about this movie. I love the sets. I love the miniatures. I love the authenticity of it, how they created the movie. It's a classic sci-fi horror that still, for me, holds up. I do agree with Tony where the 3D effects do kind of let it down, but that only happens right at the beginning. Once you get past that, everything else is great about this film. So I'm going to give it 8 out of 10.
Goji.
I love this movie. Yeah, the executives did screw it up, but I love what they turned in. The thing I didn't like about the movie, kind of killed it for me, was the absolute ending and the credits. Anybody see the movie Ghost Ship?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody hear the band Mudvayne?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I love the song Not Falling, but the song did not fit the credits of that movie. And it just kind of was like, why the fuck are they playing this song right now? It just felt weird.
Yeah.
When they started playing like that techno song during the credits, it's like, wait a minute. We just had like this haunting moment of like the terror is still here. The haunting is still here. And now it's going to like pass on to probably onto like another ship and then maybe get back to Earth, and Earth is going to be infected with the event horizon. Now they're playing like Matrix, like techno beat. It's like
It should have been at the end of the first Mortal Kombat movie.
yeah, it just didn't fit. That's the only thing I would complain about. But the overall story and Sam Neill's acting in the film, I thought it was great. He's absolutely awesome. Now, would I love to see the footage restored? Absolutely. But are we ever going to get it? Probably not. So, but still, it was. All right, go ahead.
No, we might get it, but not in the best quality. There might be a duplicate of the offcuts out there, but they may be on like a different stock, like a 25mm stock, which is good, but doesn't carry the same quality or finesse as like 35 or 70mm.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even worry about it at that point.
Shout Factory even tried to look for that in No Dice.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead,
that being said, if they do, at that point, we really want it. If they're just going to turn it in and just look like crap, then do you really want it then?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, but I'm happy with what they turned in. I'm happy with what it is. Yeah, I would like to have the full thing, but I still liked it. I give it a 10. The acting was great. I love all the characters in the film, and yeah, I give it a 10.
Y'all know I love this film, dude. So
No. You fucking love this movie. Okay,
Yeah,
I remember what you said earlier.
love this movie. I love this fucking movie. There you go. Yeah. Well, like I said, a lot of you guys all you guys pointed out the best parts. Everything you guys said, every single one of you, all you guys points are well taken and pretty much said what I was gonna say. But it's just a top notch sci-fi 90s sci-fi horror, and kind of like the first of its kind, and like started new genres. Dead Space is based off of Event Horizon. What Anthony said about Warhammer, pretty sure it was influenced by that, and yeah, it all of the the background, the politics with the film, and the negatives, or the the rest of the cut being damaged or destroyed. It's like I still got to give it a 10 out of 10 because I just love the film, man. It's pure 90s nostalgia for me, and like I said, all you guys pointed out the main points of it. So yeah, I just got to give it a 10 out of 10 because I fucking love this movie.
Love
it. Wait, I just have one last thing. Looking back at it, I feel that in hindsight, Paul Anderson could have taken a note from William Blatty when he was directing The Exorcist 3, because what he did before New Line Cinema got the footage and said, this isn't Legion, this is Exorcist 3, let's make it an Exorcist movie. He made VHS copies of the footage that was of the original 35mm footage that was removed from the initial cut before the reshoots. And I feel that in hindsight, Paul could have done that. He could have made, if not digital, then at least VHS copies of those cuts before the negatives were just thrown away.
But it goes back to what like Goji said, because if you look at the Legion cut of Exorcist, that footage is not easy on the eyes to look at.
That's true, but it's a way of, at least we have it in some form, although the quality is not the best, arguably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the film. Obviously, I saw it when it got released. But knowing that there was more of like the one thing that always kind of bothered me was despite all the great special effects and the gore, like the clips happen so fast that's like if you blink, you miss it. And I'm just one of those people that like I would have liked it if they would have stayed on some of the stuff a little bit longer while you're watching it. So like I would have liked to see the restorative version of this and maybe some of the more lengthy scenes with it. That being said, it is a bit dated for me at this point, so I think I'm like with Tony and them about around 8 out of 10 for me with this one. But I still like it a lot. I like the characters and the actors, so it still kind of holds up in that respect.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get down to what you guys got coming up, and I guess we'll start with Tony since you're down at the bottom. I don't want to leave you out, brother.
What do we have? Ghouls. Pretty much just ghouls. I don't worry my calendar. Here's, hold on. Remind me about some things. We got just ghouls. We're recording on Wednesday.
I will. Tony knows what's going on.
Am I forgetting? What am I forgetting?
No. I was just gonna. I didn't know. I was just gonna see. I was gonna just see what I've got going on because I'm gonna have to go. Because
go ahead.
I've got to work early, so I just wanted to quickly jump in. So obviously, I will be doing a video on Tuesday, which is like my thoughts on the latest info that's dropped about the new Godzilla movie. Godzilla Kong Supernova. I will be doing a video on Disney and me despise of them fuckers right now. And then hopefully I'm going to get to see Clown in a Cornfield and drop me a review of that. And throughout the month, I've just dropped some things on our calendar. We have coming on the 30th of May, Bermuda Depths, the next classic kaiju review. The next retro classic movie show is going to be a Karate Kid special, 1 to 4. And then my fellow guys that do Into the Darkness, the next horror franchise discussion is going to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 to 4.
Wow.
Nice.
So that's what we've got coming up for now. And I will be at some point scheduling a few more specials down the line. But before that happens, me and Mr. Jedi Grand Velle have a date in San Diego.
Yes.
But that's what's coming up on my channel. I didn't want to just interrupt and like dash, but I've got to go because I've got to get to bed.
All right, boss.
Because I'm up
All right,
enjoy your time, brother.
Yep. See you again.
Peace out, bro.
All right, you get some sleep, brother.
Catch you later, guys. And this has been brilliant. Take care.
All right.
Peace out, man.
All right, good night.
All right, Tony. Go ahead, brother.
So we just have ghouls on Wednesday. The picks are my pick is Death Becomes Her, and your pick was Death Screams.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's correct.
Well, that's what we'll be talking about.
Cool deal.
And when is the kaiju one again? I thought I had that marked.
The which one?
The Depths. The one. It's
the 30th, I think.
30th. Why don't I have that on here?
Yeah, this 30th of this month.
Okay. Well, then I have that too. That's
Jordan.
Well, having technical difficulties with it, I got the movie watched, but I should have had my Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 74 review but my thumb drive with the movie on it decided it doesn't want to work anymore.
Oh,
So
shit.
I got to find some way to get the data on this recovered. I know it's possible, but I watched the movie, so I'm just going to have to find some way to get some footage now, because I do have it bootleg on a burned DVD, but those don't always fast forward the best. But after that, Terror of Mechagodzilla, which I have on an official DVD, so that should be a cakewalk.
Yeah.
And after that, starting in June on Friday the 13th, I'm going to do a series, and this is going to be nothing fancy, just me in front of the camera, but the best moments of each Friday the 13th, and I'm going to take about maybe 5 minutes and talk about the best moments in each individual movie.
Okay. Very cool.
All right, cool.
Jedi.
Well, coming up next, well, when I say next week, coming up Friday, not Friday, but this Saturday, I will be doing a podcast dealing with an individual's top favorite, minus Godzilla, kaijus of all time, or at least for their particular point of view, you know, because it can always change through time, you know. So hopefully have a panel of people and we discuss this, and it's like I say, I mean, it's only going to be 10, because if you go for 20, you're going to be pushing it, depending on how, you know, people do. But yeah,
shit, even just 10 is a lot.
But well, see, that's why I say just go for 10, and like I say, exclude Godzilla, because we know most of us go ham when it goes to Godzilla. He's always going to be on the top, but we'll take him off the list. So whatever's your number 2, make that number 1. So that's what that's going to be. And at following Saturday, this is just going to be me personally, where I'm going to do my top 10 favorite movie explosions that I've loved through cinema history. You know, this is just something of a fun notion that I like to do. You know, it's something that I say I want to take a crack at, and I was like, I want to show you what this brain be thinking sometimes, and I just want to share it with the world. So that's going to be coming up this end of this month.
All right.
Cool.
Mr. Professor.
All right. Last week, after a laborious situation involving YouTube, I finally managed to get my spooky time-lapse illustration back on my channel. It's now there and free to see. If you watch to the end credits, I've set up a challenge for the viewers.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, in the future, nothing solid as of yet, but I do have some things, illustrations and fiction in the works. So do keep an eye out on socials and keep your ears to the ground for any potential updates.
All right. Koji.
Later this week, maybe even a little sooner, I'm going to be doing a live stream of Doom: The Dark Ages on PlayStation 5, so look out for that.
Very nice.
Don't know if it's later this month or early next month. I'll be getting the X Plus Godzilla Rebirth from Godzilla vs. Destroya.
Okay.
I might be doing like a small reaction to the 2 new trailers we got out for the new Godzilla content that's coming out soon. Which not really soon, but it's Godzilla Supernova and the 70th anniversary Godzilla South Asia trailer that we got, which looks awesome. Let's just a little spoiler, just talk about that. Also have some other stuff at Big Bad Toy Store I have on pre-order as well, so just waiting for those to come in as well. Jedi, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to attend your non-Godzilla kaiju, but if I can, I'd like to film something real quick and put some pictures together with said filming. I'm going to try to keep it to just 60 seconds and then send it to you to, I don't want to take up too much time of your video, but I like to send something to you, like a little brief thing. So just like have it a part of your stream, if I may.
He probably can give you a couple of minutes. Minutes.
Yeah, I could give you a few. Like I could give you a few. I mean, I'll give you one. I
have to be taking 5 minutes. He wouldn't have a choice.
No, but
Okay.
that'll be cool though. But that'll be cool.
Okay, I'll take 2 minutes then. Okay, all right, 2 minutes. Because sometimes if I speak too fast, it might sound like Jim Carrey from Bruce Almighty. You won't understand a word I'm saying if I speak too fast. So, okay. So there's that. That's oh, and later this summer I have the fake Godzilla 25 centimeter from the film Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla on pre-order as well. And I'm gonna do kind of like a double review of the 25 centimeter Godzilla 74 that came out earlier this year. I didn't review that earlier this year, but I'm gonna review both of those together, kind of like a double review kind of thing. So other than that, I got nothing really else planned. Yep, that's it for me.
Now, Sentry, I know that you're going to be taking a break, obviously, but do you have anything in the future that you plan on doing?
In the future, depending on when I can get all my freaking physical shit at least lined up a little bit straight instead of being so damn crooked, I will try to get with you so we can get Fist of Fury out of the way. So because me, you, and Neko I had to plan for us. So
yeah. She will kick your ass. She's not on that street.
Right?
Yeah, and anybody else who would like to, join that one, I'll probably more than likely will try to run it on your channel again, man. So we can get, depending on whoever wants to jump on it, I'll get with Film Fanatic because he would also have my head if I didn't get him on that one.
Yes, you definitely.
So yeah, and I'll get with you further on that. But so far, yeah, I need a break, even though I don't want to. But it's just like since here now, it's gonna say it like I've been having more issues with headaches and neck pain, and I don't want to harbor it anymore. It's been bothering me more for the past months instead of just like off and on. So that's why I've been, that's why I wanted to do this co-production on Anubis's channel, plus getting more people on there because I'm so limited because I don't pay for StreamYard and everything like that because of other expenses. But yeah, that's so far what we got going on. Just I mean, the bear I was planning on doing on my channel, but I don't know, that's probably not going to happen. But I will get with Anubis later, probably down the line, so to see if we can run Fist of Fury on his channel, like another co-production. So far, but that's it so far.
Okay. As for me, I got still a lot of stuff coming up. Obviously, tomorrow with Samurai, my next vintage cult cinema we're doing 1998 Soldier with Kurt Russell.
Yes.
As Tony mentioned, Wednesday I'm doing my pick, which will be Death Streams. He's doing Death Becomes Her. So two great movies. I haven't not seen all this one, so I have seen parts of it, so I am kind of happy about that. But whether or not it turns out great, we'll find out. But then Friday, I'm gonna play with the time, and I know a bunch of guys here. I don't know if anyone's gonna be interested, but I'm thinking about doing like a new series called What If, sort of based off the Disney stuff, but only it's going to deal more with just random franchises or whatever. And the first one I'm planning on doing is in reference to Scream. If there had been a darker prequel to the original Scream movie, like what if they had done this or this or this? So if anybody is interested in doing this with me, just hit me up in my DMs, and we can talk about when we can set up a time and stuff like that to work with everybody.
I'm interested. I'll say it now.
I love what if scenarios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I also like what ifs.
All right.
Sure. Okay. Good deal.
We got a show.
Yeah.
Right.
Next Silver Screen Savants with Alvin is Tango and Cash. We'll be talking about that.
I want to be. I want to be part of that for sure.
Okay, that's on Saturday, so we'll put you in there. And then I just talked with Mr. Miller not too long ago. For later on, we're going to be doing the Boondock Saints as part of my Vintage Cult Cinema. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well.
Bush.
And finally, once I get with Kevin Lambert, obviously he just took off, but my next cinematic synergy with him will be doing 2006's The Illusionist with Edward Norton and Giamatti. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's pretty much what I've got coming up on the horizon outside of Maryland Death Fest. I'll be gone for like a week, so you won't be hearing from me much during that time, unless I'm posting clips. But guys, it's been a joy. Century, thank you for allowing me to do this with you on here for Event Horizon, a great film that people need to check out if they haven't already. Yeah. And please go like and subscribe to all the channels from the gentlemen up here because they all put out some great content and are great dudes to boot. And
thank you, man.
Yep.
Thank you.
And so we'll see you all next time. And give us your comments. What do you feel about Event Horizon? Let us know. And we'll check it out.
And,
so thanks again.
And remember, guys, and remember one more thing. Remember, we are the Sci-Fi Society.
Yes.
Yep. Amen.
Crew.